This is the continual evolution of the East Coast beat. Have you ever had that lonesome feeling? Ooh, feeling. Oh yeah, that lonesome feeling. I used to have a cook partner that would sing that every now and then. Funny how Amer malicious. Funny how funny how certain habits stick with you. Um, Something happens, and it's just something that happened on a random Tuesday at 12:30, and then 30 years later, it's a part of your life in some way. You know what I'm saying? It's been 100, 103, 104, I think, a couple of days. And then the last couple of days it dipped into the 98s, 99. And there's a couple degree difference between where I stay and where I volunteer. Like it was like there's times where I'll be here and it'll be like 90 something degrees. I'll go down there and it'll be like 88, and then like the high here will be 107, and over there it'll be like 101, 102, So, uh, because the wind blows through the valley in a certain way to where the city where I volunteer at in Fontana is known as it's the wind's always blowing. There's always a little breeze, not always, but and when the wind blows, it blows strong too. So, and it'll blow for hours, like hours, days. You know what I'm saying? In the SB, we get some Santa Ana winds, but Fontana gets winds like by the time they get to where I'm at, the trees might be blowing, but it's nothing. But I get on the bus, I get to Fontana, and you're literally being almost thrown off your feet, coming around the corner, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can be strong. So, well, what has become of things? Imagine. At a certain age, you wanted one thing more than any other, and you were willing to try for that one thing. And then eventually you learned that there are more than one thing in life. You could have the nicest house in your city, but have never have stayed anywhere else. If you vote like in San Bernardino, we have mountains, so the San Bernardino kids have always grown up with mountains around. Like you look up, you see mountains. You know what I'm saying? They surround the valley. So almost every direction that you look up in San Bernardino, you can see a mountain, and they get used to that. You go to other places, and it's like you don't have any mountains. All you've got is the tops of buildings to go by. It's like, oh, I'm in this part of town, I'm in that part of town. You know what I'm saying? San Bernardino, go towards the mountains. You know what I'm saying? But we had the mountains, and because we had the mountains, I found myself walking in them, hiking in them. Spending overnight. 30 hour hikes up and down the sides of these mountains, and um, that was because there was something I wanted to do, you know. And then, uh, but in your life, there might be something that you want. Keep that in mind as you go about your life, and you might get it. Okay, if you always wanted to be a master swordsman, say you watched Star Wars, and you said, "Man, I want to understand the Force. You know, I want all of it. I want to be able to do backflips, and I want the Force lightning, and I want to travel through different galaxies at warp speed or light speed or whatever speed they fly at. You know, I want to fly at warp speed through galaxies, and I want to be involved in a multi-racial interplanetary war. In which one side considers itself right and the other side considers itself righteous. You know what I'm saying? And I want all that. I can see how that would be very powerful to a certain age of kid. Same thing, like when I was a kid, we had our own heroes. We had Rambo and Commando, and then later on we even had Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's kind of what rounded us out about, like, the concept of being a man was basically X-Men. You wanted to be Wolverine with the X-Men. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to be, and then later on it became, you wanted to be Iron Man with the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we grew up. It was when I was a lot younger, a lot of movies that I remember watching were about one man struggle. One man struggle against a system, one man struggle against a corrupt city, one man struggle against this. And then that's why we had movies like Fight Club come out, which was a man that couldn't really talk to anybody, had to actually lose his mind in order to find company in the city. And he had to befriend himself, his own battered, shattered self. And it was the best time he ever had. He lived the life he always wanted. So, like I said, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a soldier. In the old days, I would have wanted to have been, with a sword and a shield or a spear, and or I would have, if I was in, or I'd want to be a bowman, or I'd want to be I just have that concept in my mind that in as a child, I just naturally gravitated towards that. When I realized that there was such a thing as reality, and that you had to pay the bills. Well, how was I gonna pay the bills? Well, couldn't be a pirate. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't fight the empire. So I might as well join the army. Not really necessarily like that, but you know what I'm saying? There was a cause, there was a purpose, there was a mission, there was a reason, there was a system, there was a way. Where there is a will, there is a way. And for me, the U.S. Army was the way. You know, I got to see the world. I got to do a job. Even as a cook, I still felt that I was doing something that was greater than just flipping pancakes and eggs. You know what I'm saying? And even though I've never been involved in certain things, I feel that I don't ever remember falling asleep on guard duty because I took it seriously. So that's what I learned from the military. And I didn't have to go through combat, and watch buddies die and stuff like that to learn lessons. I learned lessons flipping French toast, working with local Muslims, and listening to John Denver on an old single speaker boombox, basically. You know what I'm saying? That was my deployment, and the lessons I learned were, how to. And then when I got back to Germany, the lessons I learned were how to order a vodka and Red Bull in German, how to order Southern Comfort and Coke, how to order, Crystal Weissen versus the Hefeweizen. I mean, before I went to the desert, those weren't really concerns in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So, what can I say? Um, and then, like I said, so you have to move through the world, and maybe if you get lucky, you find yourself in certain positions in certain places. Oh, I never lived by a lake. You might actually live in a town that has a lake. Oh, I never lived by you might actually live by an old brick, downtown loft. It's impossible to know what will happen in this world. I mean, that's why I can't really feel beaten down because I mean, honestly, I'm a lottery ticket away. I'm one contact away. I'm a phone call away from, um, you know, 0.001% of the pie, which will get me a downtown loft in Denver, and Volkswagen GTI, so I can go eat salad and drink lattes. You know what I'm saying? What else is there in life? I mean, uh, you can either run in circles your whole life or you can stand still. Some people, you know, they move, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a desperate move where I was just running in circles. I felt like I was actually doing things. And then once that stopped happening, that's when the running in the circles began. That's when I had to stop. I had to stop because there was going to be no end to that. You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, no end to running in circles is a heart attack. It's death. It's, no end to running. That's Sisyphus, and why would I want to live that life? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, the continual evolution of the East Coast beat.